Hi, this is Jeff Mesnick. I'm here with Envisions, and I'm happy to be here today with Mira Wilczek from Kogo Labs. Hi, Mira.
Hi,
How are you?
glad to be here. I'm great. How are you?
Good. So, just curious, could you please kind of share with everybody just, what is it that you do? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So let's see. Personally, I started my career as an ethical hacker. So my job was basically to break into things before the real bad guys got a shot at them.
Oh, nice.
And That was amazing technical training, and I got to play with a lot of really fun tools and really fun data in sort of that line of work. But after a while, I kind of wanted to understand how the business side of things worked. So I went back to school for my MBA, also at MIT, and ended up hooking up with a couple of people who had a fundamental circuit technology that was very efficient at performing operations in the probability domain. I got to work with them on that company from the very beginning. I was the business person,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was right out of school, and got to work from the time that it was a little lab group to the time when we actually got acquired by Analog Devices.
Nice.
And got to work with companies from the government, from the NSA and NASA um, to some of our larger multinational corporations, Samsung, Micron, and that was kind of a great experience. And it was a combination of right place, right time, and a really great technology. And once that was wrapped up, and I had served out my earnout, I was looking for a next thing to do, and I met with the folks at Kogo Labs because my friend from business school told me that these guys have a lot of data and they're huge nerds, and you like data and you're a huge nerd, so I think you would get along.
Perfect.
And he introduced us, and
That's
he
great.
turns out that he was right.
Yeah.
And so it was sort of love at first tech. I came in, and the goal of Coco Labs is really to be a technology incubator. We build companies based on big data, and we try to have everything here that a company needs in order to be successful. But the value add that really sets us apart from other accelerator programs and other sort of incubation models is that we bring not just technology support, not just HR, accounting, office space, but also troves and troves of data on consumers. So anytime that you want to get an individual consumer to a website where you can sell them a product or sign them up for a service, we are differentially incredibly efficient at that, and that's something that's really served us well in creating new internet companies efficiently and repeatably and reliably.
Oh, that's very cool. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
That's
It's a
good.
lot of fun.
So, since you're spending all your time with big data, I guess the best question to ask you is how is the data landscape today and how is it changing?
Well, it's largely expanding, and I think one thing that's very interesting is that when you talk to people about big data, the average consumer probably has an impression that the amount of data that's been collected on them must be ramping up, or the amount of data that's being generated on a day-to-day basis must be hugely on the rise. And that is true. It is true that people are collecting more and more data than ever before. They're collecting not just where you're going on the internet, but what you're doing while you're there. They're collecting not just how many phone calls are you making, but also where you're physically located when that's happening. They're collecting your heartbeat. They're collecting satellite images of you, and that's all true. But that would all be useless if you couldn't actually store that data and store that data cheaply,
Hmm.
which is becoming increasingly true with the emergence of Amazon Web Services and better and better hardware that, in fact, includes some of my chips from my previous company that make it very, 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 very cheap and very reliable to just store tons of data and that it's becoming more and more possible to process lots of data using specialized chip architectures. That means that you can actually extract insights from all the stuff that's being collected. So, when I think about when I think about the petabytes of data that we deal with every single day here at the lab and in analogous companies across the U.S., the thing the trend that's really sort of unlocked all kinds of opportunities for everything from targeting users to custom constructing great experiences for people who that is is tailored exactly to their preferences. That's really been unlocked by not just the collection of more data and
Hmm.
the generation of more data, but also by the ability to work with that data. And it's not new algorithms; it's new hardware. It's new sort of technology capabilities.
Oh, so I mean, it's basically not just the collection and how you're working with it. So now, once you're there and you have all this data and you have the new hardware to try to figure out how to decipher it, I guess
Yeah,
is a good way to say it.
yeah.
You know, what's the next thing? So what kind of, what are people doing out there? What do you see specifically or not, or maybe generally that people are going to then be doing with all this data? Like, I guess you're working with companies who are you fund companies to help them build these
So what
programs.
Yeah. So there are use cases, right? So
Hmm.
what we do is, in Kogo Labs, is we take all the information that we know about consumers, and we use that to try to make sure that their experience on the internet is exactly what they would want to have happen if they had an ideal life. So everything that we know about an individual consumer is going to help us figure out whether or not they want to, if they don't want to see this kind of advertising, we're not going to show it to them because it's not a good use of their time and it's not a good use of our money. If they don't, if they're really, if they really are trying to find a great place to stay the night on their next trip to Erie, Pennsylvania, then we're going to try to make sure that we can match make them with a hotel that's going to give them a great experience.
Right.
So when I think about the things that we're doing day to day right now, it's really focused on sort of custom manufacturing a internet consumer experience that's going to be a very positive one and going to make people have sort of a better life on the internet. Um, that's very, that's kind of what we're focused on day to day in my particular incubator today. But when I think about the next 5 years, the next 10 years
Yeah.
in data, it's not going to be just about the internet. It's not going to be about just consumers. The more data that we collect on the things that we do and the things that we see, and the more ability that we have to uh, derive insights from that, the more we're going to be able to sort of bend the arc of history towards people, people getting to experience the things that they would want to, and
Hmm.
not have to deal with the things that they would not want to. The more that we can have people have computers and sort of automated processes taking over the things that are thought of as scut work or are highly repeatable, the more that we can sort of offload the the monotony of daily life
Right.
into sort of the technological sphere, and focus our time as humans on being human. And I think that's kind of an exciting time and place to be in, and one that I think is really coming up pretty quickly here.
Right.
Now that we actually have the hardware to make those kinds of like modeling of experiences, and modeling of what people do and do not want to spend their time on more and more efficiently.
Right. So it seems, I like that, kind of giving us more time to be human.
Yeah.
So I can, and it seems like, so now you basically you can be leveraging data not only from what you're saying is, if I'm getting it right, from experiences not only on the internet, but also if they're taking photos with their phones and basically merging
Yeah.
that data of location-based data of where they visit and times and places they go.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you could actually
There's
predict.
That's absolutely right. And it doesn't stop at just phones either. There's all kinds of wearable technology coming out. There's all
Right.
kinds of automation technology coming out. So, the more and more technology starts to become a an integral part of our daily lives, the reason why it's invading our daily lives is because we think that it can make it better. And the more that the more that technology matures and the more that those different kinds of technologies integrate with each other, the more that we're actually going to be able to deliver on that promise that
Right.
that this is something that can make your life better, not just more wired, but actually better.
Right. And you can think about it just even in medical, you could basically have the data coming in from the watches that talk about the exercise and the fitness and maybe the fact that I just had McDonald's, which is not a good thing, but still you may you put that together into a data analysis and I have something going on. They could say, well, you just ate McDonald's and you haven't ran in about a week. So maybe that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Everything from fitness to, to maintenance of your home to maintenance of your finances.
Yep.
There's all kind, yeah. There's all kinds of data that you don't even know is being collected right now, and hopefully the reason that it's being collected and hopefully the ways that it's being used are to make to make life better, easier, and happier.
Sounds good. Well, let's just hope it's all being collected for the good.
Yes,
and
yes.
not
Well, we
the
try.
and not the evil MIT scientists that might be wearing lab coats and running around.
Uh, oh, it's so sad. Yes.
All right. Well, look, this has been great. I really appreciate the time. This has been a great insight into kind of the changing landscape of big data and things that we could be looking forward to.
Great. Yeah. Thanks.
So again, this is Jeff Mesnick. I'm here with Envisions for Envisions, and I'm here with Mira Wilczek and from Kogo Labs. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.